Max Eevee is making its Pokemon Go debut during its own Max Battle weekend, and this event actually might be more worth it than you think, especially for those of you that are newer to Max Battles. And in this video, I will be going through exactly why that is, everything else the event has to offer, and the best tips to help you make the most of it. So the event does run from November 21st at 6 AM until the 24th at 9 PM local time. But what exactly does this event have to offer? Well, Dynamax Eevee will be debuting in 2-star Max Battles, and it can be shiny. The Tier 2 Max Battle does require 400 Max Particles to join, instead of the 250 Max Particles a Tier 1 battle costs to join. And evolving into Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon is random as well, so it could take you a few chances to get those. And some of these evolutions will have meta relevance, but more on that later. And later on in the video as well, I will be going through how you can get 12 to 14 free Eevee Max Battles across the event. However, despite the 400 Max Particle cost to join these battles, the one saving grace is that you won't be needing to do these battles to get candy for Eevee, because regular Eevee will be appearing in the wild during this event as well, so you can get your candy from that. For the bonuses, power spots will be refreshing more frequently. You'll get 2 times Max Particles from power spots, and it'll take half the distance to receive Max Particles from adventuring. And for this bonus to apply specifically, you do need to collect all Max Particles currently available in the nearby menu. There will also be event-themed collection challenges that will reward Eevee candy, Max Particles, and a Poffin. And there is a really good use for this Poffin that I will be going through in a moment. And do note that these collection challenges will probably include evolving Eevee into each of its evolutions. It's also worth noting that during the first day of this Eevee event, the high voltage event will be overlapping, so you will also get the following bonuses. You'll get 2 times XP for catching Pokemon with nice throws or better. You'll get 2 times catch Stardust, and you'll have an increased chance to encounter shiny Emolga, shiny Dedenne, and shiny Togedemaru, and each of these shiny boosted Pokemon are available in the wild alongside Shinx. Now with that said, is Max Eevee even worth battling in the first place, or any of its evolutions any good in Pokemon Go? Well, just before I get into that, I just want to mention that G-Max Eevee will be coming to the game soon as well, but G-Max Eevee is actually less relevant than Max Eevee because it can't evolve, but the Max Eevees can. Now for the Max Eeveelutions, Max Jolteon will actually be a better electric type attacker than Max Toxtricity, so it's worth going after this one if you don't have access to G-Max Toxtricity, Max Raikou, or Max Zapdos. But do remember, each evolution to try and get Jolteon will be random because it can also get Vaporeon or Flareon. And Vaporeon itself won't see much play because there are already too many strong water type attackers for Max Battles, but it will make a decent healer because of its 277 HP stat. Likewise, Flareon will also be outclassed by other fire type attackers on its debut. Max Espeon, however, is going to be a decent psychic type attacker for Max Battles, just behind Max Latios and Max Alakazam. And Max Umbreon will be more of a tank against Dark, Ghost, and Psychic types, but unfortunately it doesn't have access to a 0.5 second animation fast attack, so that does let it down a bit as a tank. And do note, to evolve Max Eevee into Max Umbreon or Max Espeon, you will need to set them as your buddy and walk 10 kilometers with them, and then evolve the Eevee during the day for Espeon and during the night for Umbreon. And after you've done the evolution requirements, before you evolve it, do make sure you check the evolution silhouette is showing the Pokemon that you're trying to evolve into, just in case it hasn't registered the distance walked, because I do believe sometimes you do need to gain candy twice from walking 5 kilometers each before it will register the evolution requirement, so do bear that in mind. Max Leafeon will be outclassed by other grass type attackers for Max Battles, but if you do want to get it for the collection, as well as candy, you will need to evolve it by standing near an active Mossy Lure module at a Pokestop. For Max Glaceon, on the other hand, it is going to be a very strong ice type attacker, possibly even better than G-Max Lapras, or at least close to it. So it's definitely a good one to have access to, and to evolve Eevee into Glaceon, you do need to evolve it standing near an active Glacial Lure module. For Sylveon, unfortunately it will be behind both Max Hatterene and Max Gardevoir as a fairy type attacker, but it is an option if you haven't got them. And if you do want to evolve Max Eevee into Max Sylveon, you do need to make it your buddy and earn 70 buddy hearts with it. A quick tip for this though is that you will be getting a Poffin as a reward from the collection challenge, so you can use this Poffin on an Eevee to raise it to the excited state so you can earn more buddy hearts with it than normal. You can alternatively earn Poffins from AR scanning tasks, and you can also get a Pokemon to its excited state without a Poffin, but it does require a lot more effort. So overall, Max Eevee is actually going to be a decent Pokemon to have, especially if you haven't done many Max Battles before, because you most likely will have quite a lot of candy for it, and you do have the opportunity to get a lot of candy during this event. And Max Eevee does give you access to many different types that are at least decent in their type attacking roles, so if you don't have anything much better for Max Battles, this event is a really good catch-up event for Max Battles. And outside of Max Battles, the only Eeveelutions that have meta relevance are Glaceon being the 18th best ice type attacker with Frost Breath and Avalanche, Sylveon being the 22nd best fairy type attacker with Charm and Dazzling Gleam, and it's ranked 83 in the Master League. And also Umbreon does sometimes see play in the Great League and the Ultra League, but currently it is ranked 185 and 184 respectively, so it's not sitting the best in the current meta. And unfortunately, the legacy move Last Resort isn't featured during this event, so it would require an Elite Charge TM to get, but there are many better targets for an Elite Charge TM. Now there is actually another method that guarantees evolution into each of the different Eeveelutions, but it can only be used once per Eeveelution, so if you've already used it, it's not going to work. But for those of you that are newer to the game, it is useful to know that you can use this trick on the max versions of the Eeveelutions, which is better than using it on the regular versions of the Pokemon because the max Pokemon can be used in both regular play and in max battles. So this method is called the name trick, and essentially you need to rename your Eevee to one of these names for each of the Eeveelutions, then scroll down to the evolution button to check to see if the evolution silhouette is the Pokemon you're after, and then tap evolve and it will guarantee that Eeveelution. This method is very useful because it can skip long-winded evolution requirements like Espeon, Umbreon and Sylveons, and it can skip the randomness of Vaporeon, Flareon and Jolteon, for example. And if you are going to be taking on max Eevee, because it's in 2-star max battles, it's most likely going to be soloable for most trainers. But what are the best counters you can use for it? Well, firstly, the 100% IVCP value you're looking out for is 612. Max Eevee is a normal type, therefore weak to fighting type attacks, and it will use 2 of the following attacks in battle: Dig, Swift, Body Slam or Last Resort. One of the moves will be a large attack that attacks the group and it can't be avoided, and the second attack will be a direct one targeting a specific Pokemon that you can dodge by swiping at the right time. So for tanks that will be used in the main battle phase to fill up the max meter as fast as possible, I would recommend Max Blissey with Pound, Max Corviknight with Sand Attack, Max Chansey with Pound, Ground Zamazenta with Metal Claw, and G-Max Snorlax with Lick. And for attackers that will be swapped into for the max phase to use their max attacks, the best will be G-Max Machamp with Counter, either Max Urshifu with Rock Smash, Max Gallade with Low Kick, and Max Machamp with Counter. And you will need Eevee Candy to power up any of these Eeveelutions, but how can you maximize the amount of candy you get during the event? Well, there aren't any specific candy bonuses for the event, but you can always use Pineapple Berries when catching Eevee, and you can Mega Evolve a Pokemon to increase the amount of Candy, Candy XL, and XP per catch. And as Eevee is a normal type, you can Mega Evolve either of these normal types for the event. And you might also want to Mega Evolve one for each day of the event. And remember to Mega Evolve a Pokemon that is at the max Mega level to get more Candy, XP, and chance for Candy XL. And you can also get some extra candy from trading, depending on the distance between the locations where the 2 Pokemon were caught. And this season, because of the seasonal bonuses, every trade will get you an extra candy and a guaranteed Candy XL. And if you do happen to trade on Sunday, you can benefit from trade days which offer these bonuses. But how many max Eevee battles realistically can you do over the weekend with them costing 400 max particles to join each? Well, if you go into the first day with 1600 max particles, that's 4 battles you can do. Then you can collect 800 max particles each day to get a total of 12 battles for the event. You could also collect any max particles that you have from the Go Pass or any research you have, because these don't count towards the daily collection limit of 800. Worth noting as well, depending on how you claim the max particles, you can actually claim more than 800 per day, so bear that in mind because you might be able to squeeze in a couple of extra battles. And you can also get a free max particle pack by joining a community ambassador meetup. To do this, you need to head to the Niantic Campfire app and check your local area on the map to see if there's a meetup being held specifically by a community ambassador. Then if you go to the meetup, you can check in via the Campfire app and you will receive a timed research. These timed researches do differ depending on the type of event you're meeting up for, but for a max battle event in particular, you will get 5000 XP for winning 2 max battles, 5 Great Balls for catching a max Pokemon, 2000 Stardust for powering up a Pokemon 10 times, and for completing all of the tasks, you'll get 800 max particles to do 2 more max Eevee battles. And regarding XP, you will be getting 6000 XP per max Eevee battle, so if you plan on doing a lot of them in one go, I would recommend having a lucky egg active because you will be then getting 12,000 XP per battle. And with them being soloable for many, this is a great way to get a lot of quick XP. And if you did find this video helpful, then I recommend checking out this video on the screen next, and I'll catch you in the next one.